I've still got some Doom gameplay from the beta last year, believe it or not. So I thought, you know what? I've seen a lot of doom and gloom talk about the Switch at this moment in time. So I thought, you know what? I may as well upload a video talking about Nintendo Switch is doomed. This is it. This is the end of the world. Nintendo going third party, because I'm seeing a lot of negative reaction, including from my own mates, pretty much. I'm seeing it close to home as well. I'm seeing it in my PSN chat. Seriously, it's like it's the end of the flipping world. So I'm going to talk about the whole negativity surrounding the Switch. I think a lot of it is a little bit, I just think it's a little bit stupid. I really do. So let's just start off with, I've got a lot of topics to talk about. Seriously, let's just talk about what people are moaning about at this moment in time. And let's just talk about the price of the system. It is £280 in the UK. That is $300 in America. $280 in the UK. I think that is too much. I don't see why. There isn't like a fair translation there. That $300 is £250. I don't understand why the Switch is £30 more. I don't know if it's down to Brexit. Don't know if it's down to any of that sort of stuff. But yeah, the price of the system, I think is actually, I think it's pretty fair for what you get. I know a lot of people saying it's too expensive, but people need to understand that what you're getting is a dock, you're getting a flipping tablet, and you're getting the flipping Joy-Cons, which have a lot of technology in it. It's got an NFC reader in it, it's got the HD vibration technology inside of it, it's got motion controllers in both controllers, and it's got also the Joy-Con grip it's packed in with it, as well as the wrist straps and all of the HDMI cable and AC adapter, so that would boost the price of it. So I think what you get, I think you get a pretty fair deal, I think. So I don't think the price is anything to moan about, apart from the fact that Nintendo UK are charging UK customers like £30 more than what they should do, in my opinion. So I can understand why UK customers are moaning about the price, but I can't understand why maybe people in America are moaning about the price. I think $300, I think that is pretty fair. That is £250 normally. I think that is the same price as the Wii U, and I think a lot of people are comparing the Switch to the PS4. I think that is pretty unfair to do that. I know that's what a lot of people will look at, that like when picking up a system. Or do I buy a PS4 for like £200, or do I buy a Switch for £280? I know a lot of people will look at it that way, but how much did the PS4 cost when that first came out? And this is the Switch. It's only coming out now. I'm sure the price of it will drop in time. I'm sure they will release different colours. They will release different versions. They will probably lower the price, I think, in maybe a couple of years' time. I don't think it will stay at 280. I think you will see it drop in price. Maybe not in the first year, just because I think the demand for the system will actually probably boost the price of the system up at retail. But yeah, I just think the price is actually fair. Now let's just move on to the battery life. So Nintendo said that the battery life is 6 hours maximum. And for games like Zelda Breath of the Wild, it will be 3 hours. A lot of people are concerned about that, just because Zelda Breath of the Wild is essentially a Wii U port. Like I said in a video last week, I think 3 hours is enough when playing games on the go. Unless you are like travelling like a 6 hour round trip every day, then I think 3 hours, unless you're constantly playing when you're at work, or you're constantly playing it, I don't know. I think 3 hours is enough. I think it is. Like, I know you got long haul flights in there, but I may be wrong on this, but I'm sure these flights have some sort of sockets in there nowadays to plug your device and charge it. Like, I think you can charge your Switch when out on the go. So yeah, I don't think it's a problem, the battery life. I think 3 is enough. Like when you're playing games on your smartphone, you're only playing it in short bursts. And when you're playing games on your 3DS, you're not playing it for like 3 hours at a time. That's just how I see it. Maybe you are, maybe one of like out of a million people, maybe you're playing your system for like 6 hours when you're out on the go. But a lot of people will just play it in short bursts, and I think the battery life is good enough. Now let's move on to the storage. 32GB storage, but you can expand on it with micro SD, which is up to 256GB. And I'm not sure if any of my mates will watch this video, but I'm just going to include a little anecdote from the PSN chat, and this may be the same thing. I'm going to try and generalise this whole thing, but pretty much a lot of people are mad at that storage, like that sort of storage. I can understand that to a degree if you are going digital only, but like, I don't know, for me, it's like you would just say, right, I can't go digital only, I'll just buy games physically. I don't see why it is this massive big deal. I don't see why people can say, you know what, I was planning to go digital only, I'm just going to go physical only now. The cards, like the game carts, I could just chuck out my game disc if I don't want to have all that clutter in my storage. I can buy maybe 2 or 3 like game carts like storage like packs things like where you can store your game carts. You can chuck out your game cases, and then that's it. That's all you need to do. And people saying you got DLC, you got games. It's like Nintendo games, at least they do a very good job of compressing their games, so I don't feel like it is that big of a deal. And third party games, well, let's be honest, there's barely any third party games, so there's not really that sort of problem there. So I don't understand the whole storage sort of thing. It's like my mate was saying, oh, I'm going to be downloading indie games on it. That means I'm going to have to pick up like 2 SD cards, like two 256GB SD cards. No, you don't. I don't. You don't, because like physical. Like if you went physical only, then that will just reduce the need to buy 2 SD cards to start off with anyway. And like I said, Nintendo games are compressed. Like when you save games as well, it's not going to take up that much space. The DLC will probably only take up a few gig, or like 2 or 3 gig a game at the most. And then when you do fill up, then all you need to do is get a 256GB micro SD card. And indie games as well, they won't take up that much space. Indie games don't really take up that much space at all. So I feel like you can get around the whole storage sort of thing. It's not just, alright, 32GB unbuggered. Well, you just don't go digital only. That's just how I see it. You go physical, and if you've already, like, chances are you've already got a flipping system to play your indie games on. So why not just buy your indie games on the PS4 instead? That's just how I see it. That's like me moaning, or that's like me saying I'm not going to get the Switch because it's not got any third party games, even though I've got a flipping PS4 that is capable of playing third party games. So yeah, I feel like people are just creating these flipping excuses just because I feel like it is a Nintendo system. With Sony, I feel like people were, oh yeah, it's PSVR, PS4 Pro, I'm getting that day one, even though, PS4 Pro, there's no guarantees that the games actually look better and play better on that system. PSVR, you got all those cables, you got the fact that there's no fully fledged games on there. So, people were still jumping and hyping up PSVR and PS4 Pro, even though there's still problems there. But I feel like with the Switch, when you got these sort of problems that are, I feel like easily work around. Like you can easily work around these sort of issues. It's like people are complaining about the fact that the Switch is too gimmicky. Oh my god, it's too gimmicky. Oh, gimmicks, what you doing, Nintendo? Nobody wanted these gimmicks. Oh my god, well, you know what you do? You know what you do? It's not rocket science. You go out and pick up a Switch Pro controller. And all of these games that require motion control, apart from 1-2 Switch, they are optional. ARMS, you can play them with button controls. So, yeah, don't use motion controls as an excuse. Just don't. And seriously, if you expected the Switch to be a typical normal console, then where have you been for the last 10 years? You need to dilly ding, you need to dilly dong, you need to flipping wake up. Wake up from that stupid mentality. You need to flipping go away from that rock that you've been living under. It's like you've been in a flipping coma for the last 10 years, because when have Nintendo produced a typical conventional so-called normal console? If you honestly expect Nintendo to make a typical normal console, then you are a flipping idiot. I've been saying this all along. I've been saying this for the past 2 years. The NX, now the Switch, was never going to be a PS4-like system. I know you got these YouTubers out there that expected the Switch to be a PS4-like system. Well, those people are flipping idiots. They're flipping idiots. They don't know Nintendo. They don't know what Nintendo are about. And like I said, if you honestly expected Nintendo to produce a normal console, when the fact that you're coming from the Wii and the Wii U, then you are an idiot. You really, really are an idiot. Seriously, I just can't believe how stupid you are if you thought that Nintendo would produce a flipping triplet. If you thought Nintendo would produce a triplet to go along the twins that are the PS4 and the Xbox One. The Switch was always going to be different. The console experience was always going to be different. I don't understand why you expected that, because that is not what Nintendo are about. You're an idiot, and that is a flipping fact. You know what? I'm disappointed in myself for even doubting that the Switch would have a new, different style of gameplay for the TV. After the reveal trailer went live, I was a little bit, doubting whether we would lose stuff like motion control for being able to play games out on the go. So I am really, really chuffed that not only is motion control returning, but it is also being improved as well. And also they are adding in HT vibration, as well as adding in motion sensors to both the left Joy-Con and the right Joy-Con, which is a massive improvement on the Wii remote. It is the next gen gaming system. It is improving how we play games, and not just how these games look. It's not just, oh yeah, let's just make a console halfway to make these games look in 4K, even though they're not proper 4K. They're just flipping upscaled 4K, so it's not proper native 4K. So at the end of the day, you have to ask yourself, what is the point of these flipping upgradable consoles when they don't do the flipping job that they're supposed to do? Why not just wait until the PS5 and the Xbox flipping 2 to do that sort of stuff? And you know what? I just don't understand people that do have a PS4 and they don't want a new different way to play games. I don't understand why those people just want the same exact experience, but it's just got Nintendo on the box instead of Sony. It just makes no sense to me whatsoever, and I'm glad that Nintendo aren't conforming to what these idiots want, because then it would just make gaming really, really boring. And if the Switch didn't have anything unique about it, at the end of the day, what would it be? It would just be a gaming system that you can play games out on the go, but when you're playing games on TV, it's just a much lower experience than the PS4 and Xbox One. But what you've got with the Switch is you've got something which does change how we play games at this moment in time. You've got the HD Rumble, and you've got the upgraded motion control, which will change how we will play games. And what makes me laugh is that people complain about the motion control for the Switch, but I bet you now these people were hyping up, oh yeah, PSVR, you can use your Move controllers. Oh, HTC Vive. Oh, the Vive controllers. Oh my god, they're amazing. Oh, the motion control's amazing on that. It's just one rule for Nintendo, another rule for another company. The same people hating on the Switch for being gimmicky are the same people that were hyping up the PSVR and that were saying that, oh my god, this is how gaming is going to be. This is the future of gaming. This is absolutely incredible. The same people who said that about PSVR are the same people now complaining that the Switch is too gimmicky. And don't tell me that I'm making that up, because I've seen it firsthand. I have seen it firsthand, and I've seen it close to home. I don't know if any of my mates are watching this, but yeah, hopefully that rings a bell. Hopefully that does ring a bell. I'm not sure if they will watch it, but yeah, that's just something which I have noticed. So yeah, it's just one rule for Nintendo. I tell you now, oh, I've got a brand new gaming system. You can play games out on the go. Oh my god, motion control. You can, it changes the way you can play games. It's got a new vibration technology, so it makes you feel like you are in the game even more than what you are. Oh, but whose name is it? Oh, it's Nintendo. Oh, I don't care. I don't care. Now, if you got to the last point and you said Sony, they'll be hyping up this console because it's got Sony on the flipping box. But because it's got Nintendo on the box, people don't want to listen. People don't want to change because it's Nintendo. But when flipping Sony came out with a stupid headset which cost the same price as a flipping system, then people were willing to go out and pick up the PSVR even though there was no compelling software for it. It was just a demo machine, and that is what it's gonna be. That is just gonna be a demo machine. If Nintendo came out with that, people would criticize that. Like if the Switch was just a demo box, people would rightly criticize it. But I didn't see many people criticize PSVR for being just a flipping demo box. That is the biggest gimmick of all time, PSVR. Don't hear people complain about that when they are complaining about the gimmicks for the Switch. So it's one rule for Nintendo, another rule for another company. It's just double standards, and I just don't think it is fair. And yeah, like I said, if you don't want motion control, then you can go out and pick up a Pro controller. Now, these accessories are expensive, and I was actually complaining about this myself. Like, the price of accessories was one of the negative things that I did have. But then I thought, and a lot of people told me in the comments as well, that you got to look at it this way. You got the PS4 controller, it's got that stupid battery or that stupid light at the front. It's got gyro, and that's about it for £40. But for £60 with the Switch Pro controller, you're getting HD rumble, gyro, and an NFC reader in there as well. So there is a lot of technology packed into the Switch Pro controller. It's like my mate was saying, oh, I have to spend £60 on a normal controller. And I said, well, technically, there is no normal controller because the Switch Pro controller does have flipping motion control. So, £60 on a normal controller, but they don't realise how much technology is actually packed inside of it. And in terms of the Switch Joy-Cons, basically, you got to look at it as two Wii remotes bundled in together. How much did you pay for two Wii remotes? You paid about £80 or around about £60-70, around that ballpark. So the fact that two Joy-Cons together bundled in cost like £75, that is about right, just because you are getting HD rumble and you are getting motion sensors in there as well as the NFC reader. So of course, when you bundle in two of them together, it's going to be double the price of a Wii remote. So of course it's going to be £75. But I can understand that the price of access for the Switch is actually quite high. So I can understand where these people are coming from, like when complaining about the price of the Switch in terms of its accessories. But like I said, you just got to look at it in the way that there is a lot of technology for that price. Yeah, and I guess the online adds to the price of access as well. And this is where I do actually agree with the haters, that the online service is not good enough. The fact that there is no voice chat, online lobbies like invites, matchmaking, all of that is tied to an app. I just don't think that is good enough. So basically, you have to go out and spend another £400-500 just to use something on your £300 console. It's just not good enough. The smartphone app should be an option for going out on the go, but when you're at home, it should be able to be used as a home console. So I should be able to voice chat on the system. I should be able to invite people on my Switch system. I shouldn't need to have an app to do that. So yeah, I do understand where these people are coming from in terms of that. But in terms of all of the other stuff that I've mentioned before, like the price of the system itself and the battery life and the storage, it's easily a workaround. It's like you can turn down the brightness on your game to get out a little bit more battery out of the Switch when you are playing games out on the go. And like I said, do you need to play Like, are you seriously playing games for like 3 hours at a time when out on the go? I highly doubt it. I really, really do. So, yeah, let's just move on to the launch games. I have talked about this before on my channel, but I think the launch games, obviously there isn't that many there, but like I said before, it's not about the quantity, it's about the quality. And Zelda Breath of the Wild will last you a good couple of months. It really, really will. And I keep mentioning this all of the time because people are overlooking this fact. I know some people are saying, oh, the only flipping compelling Switch game at launch is a Wii U port. I wonder if you said the same about the PS4 and Xbox One where the vast majority of those games at launch were just PS3 games for the PS4, and games they barely look better on the PS4. They barely look better on the on the Xbox One, I should say. So people. Obviously, like I said before, it's one different rule set for Nintendo, another lot for Sony and Microsoft, which is just, complete bull. It really is complete bull. It's like people are complaining about the year one lineup and they're saying that it's barren, but I don't know a console where it's coming out with some of its biggest IPs like Splatoon, Zelda, Mario Kart, all in a year, and plus you got Xenoblade Chronicles 2 and Fire Emblem Warriors. That is like the PS4 launching with Uncharted 4, The Last of Us 2, Ratchet and Clank, and a port of, what's that game? I can't remember the name of the game. It's Beyond Two Souls, that's it. That's like that. Like Beyond Two Souls, I've sort of seen it as an equivalent of Mario Kart 8 Deluxe, like a port of that. That's kind of what it's like. How many consoles launch with their big hitters like what Switch is doing? And Switch is miles better than the flipping Wii U's launch. I'm seeing people saying that the Wii U's launch was better because it had third-party games, which these people don't. These people are stupid. Well, these people, let's be honest, they're hypocrites because at the time when the Wii U launched, they complained about the fact that these third-party games, they don't count because they're ports of old games, which I do actually sort of agree with. But now that the Switch doesn't have barely any third-party games, they look back at the Wii U's launch like it was a flipping holy grail of the flipping console world. No, it wasn't, because we went from the launch window, we went from flipping January to Pikmin 3 in August, and we got nothing. Now, Rayman Legends, it was supposed to come out in February, but Ubisoft stupidly delayed it until September that year, like September 2013, but with this Switch, we are constantly getting games month after month after month. And we still don't know the full lineup of the first year yet. So, yeah, I just don't agree with how people are, criticising the year one and the launch window and the launch of the Switch. There has never been a console where it is firing all guns blazing. And do you really want that? Because what happens if all of the games that you want, if they did come out year one, what would happen in the years to follow after that? It would just be drought after drought after drought, and then you'd be back in the Wii U situation all over again. It's like my mate was saying, oh, what about 2018 games? I was like, steady on, mate. We're only in January 2017. You know what I mean? We've got plenty of time to talk about 2018 games. And actually, since the presentation, we have learned about a 2018 game in Fire Emblem. So, you got E3 coming up where we will learn about games coming out in this year and next year. And plus, you're going to get directs coming from E3 to the end of 2017 talking about 2018 games. So there's plenty of time to talk about 2018 games. So, yeah, my mate was saying, oh, what if the Switch flops like the Wii U? You could barely, find games in supermarkets. Hello, there's a thing called the internet. I've been buying games online for about 3 or 4 years. I've never bought. The last time I bought a Wii U game at retail was December 2013, where Blockbusters were closing down and I got Splinter Cell Blacklist and I got Injustice Gods Among Us for really, really cheap, and those games only just recently went out. So that was the last time I bought some Wii U games. Apart from that, I bought Hyrule Warriors, Mario Kart 8, Smash Brothers. I bought Splatoon. I bought Xenoblade. Actually, I got that for Christmas. But seriously, every other Wii U game apart from December 2013 previous, I've bought online. So yeah, that's just another stupid argument. And you know, he was saying, "Oh, Nintendo, they haven't learnt from the Wii U's mistakes." And like I said before, they have, because with the Wii U, we had a lot of games on launch day, and then after that, we had nothing. We had drought until flipping Pikmin 3. So they have learnt. They have learnt that a constant, steady stream of games is better than just flipping coming out all guns blazing day one with Zelda, Mario Kart, and Splatoon 2. Because Zelda Breath of the Wild just eat up most of those games anyway, so what is the point of releasing Splatoon 2 to just flipping die against Zelda Breath of the Wild? It's better to space the games out, to let them breathe, to let them flipping get an audience, than just to release them all in day one. So, yeah, I just don't understand these sort of complaints that are coming at this moment in time. It's just people are just being negative for the sake of being negative. They're just coming up with the stupidest of flipping complaints to complain about. Like I said, accessories and online, I can understand that, but all the rest of it I think is complete nonsense. So let's just go on to the third party support. Obviously, the third party support is lacking, and that is something which I have talked about on previous videos as well. But a lot of us have got PS4s, a lot of us have got Xbox One, so does it really matter? Does it really matter that the Switch doesn't have many third-party games when we all have systems out there that are, capable of playing third-party games? So, yeah, it's like I was saying to, he was saying, oh, I think the Switch is, going to flop. I said, well, you got Pokemon coming out, and he was saying, oh yeah, but Pokemon doesn't appeal to everybody. Well, Pokemon is a flipping massive flipping franchise at this moment in time. It's probably one of the biggest gaming franchise, if not the biggest gaming franchise out there. So it does appeal to a lot of people. I think what he was saying there is that it won't appeal to PS4 and Xbox One gamers, but Nintendo were never going to come out with games like, PS4 games like flipping, games like, shooters left, right and centre, and, games like flipping, Dark Souls or games like that. They were never going to come out with the so-called hardcore games. Nintendo were always going to produce Nintendo-like games. It's not surprising at all. It's not surprising. We've seen this for previous consoles. I don't see why this console is different. I don't see why people expected Nintendo to turn into Sony all of a sudden. Don't understand that at all. So do I think this Switch is doomed? I don't think it is. I think it probably will struggle to get people on board to start off with. I think people are balking at the price of accession, or the price of, starting out. You got all of these accessories to buy, you got online to pay for as well. I think that will put off a lot of people to start off with. But when the games are coming, which they are coming, you got Zelda, I'm not going to repeat myself, but the games are coming in year one. And when those games get good receptions, then you're going to see people go out and pick up the system. I think the Switch will do really, really well. And I think if the Switch does have, all of the console games and all of the handheld games all in one place, then it's going to be very successful. But Nintendo might shoot themselves in the foot a little bit, just because Fire Emblem Warriors is coming out on the 3DS as well as the Switch. So maybe 3DS owners may just stick with, buying Fire Emblem Warriors on the 3DS, and I think they will do the same with Pokemon. I think Pokemon will come out on the Switch and the 3DS as well, but they've always done that. Anybody that has a brain, or anybody that has been living for the past 20 years, knows that Game Freak, they always release games. When a new handheld comes out, they always release a Pokemon game like on the old hardware, because they are waiting for the new hardware to be successful enough to release Pokemon on there. So I think it will be a little bit different this time around. I think Pokemon will come out for the Switch, but I also think that they will also make maybe one or two games for the 3DS still. So yeah, I think it will be successful, especially in Japan. Apparently Nintendo had to shut off the queuing up lines around about 10 o'clock in the morning, because people were lining up to play Dragon Quest 11. They were lining up to play Zelda. They were lining up to play Splatoon. So all of that, it's going to sell really well in Japan. I have no doubt about it. Like the concept itself, it's just made for Japan, and maybe that might be its downfall for the Western world. I guess we just need to wait and see for that. But I think the Switch will be successful. I think because it's getting games on a constant, stream. It's not just going to be a game and then you got to wait 3-4 months for another game like what we had with the Wii U. Because the momentum is constantly going, then I think the Switch will be successful. That's just how I see it. But I think it will take a while to get going. I think year one will be a little bit of a struggle to persuade people to go out and pick up the Switch. But when you have all of the year one games and plus, I think next year will be the year that it will take off when you got newer games to add to the already good collection with Fire Emblem Warriors, Splatoon 2, Zelda, ARMS, Super Mario Odyssey and Xenoblade Chronicles 2. I think year 2 will be the year that it will completely take off, but I think it's going to sell. I think it's going to be a bit of a struggle, to get a Switch at launch. And it's not just down to the fact that Nintendo are only just doing 2 million units. I think it's because people want Zelda as well, and I think it's going to be like that with Super Mario Odyssey as well at the end of the year, and it will be the same case for Splatoon 2 in Japan. So I think it's going to be successful. I don't think it's doomed, and I think these haters are a little bit stupid, if I'm being completely honest with you, and I just think they're complaining for the sake of complaining. So now that I've ripped these haters a new arsehole, I think it's time for me to press that stop button. I'm excited for the Switch. I'm excited for the Joy-Cons. I'm excited for doing, playing something different. I'm excited for what could be, coming out. I'm excited for how Nintendo can push gaming with these new motion controls. I'm excited to play something new, something fresh, something different. And I'm not just going to get the same system all over again with better graphics, because I've already got that with the PS4. I don't need another system like the PS4. I don't want a flipping PS4 clone, and I'm glad I'm not getting a flipping PS4 clone. So yeah, it's just the haters are just hating on it because it's Nintendo, I feel. And I feel like if Sony, if their name was on the box, then people would just love it. But because it's Nintendo, they find the littlest things to complain about. Like I said, the accessories and the online service, I can agree with somewhat. The online service is definitely my main negative so far. Apart from that, all of the other complaints are nonsense for me. So that is it for this video. Definitely I'm looking forward to hearing what you have to say about this video in the comment section below. And I'll see you next time. Goodbye. You know what, actually? I'm not finished ranting, because by the time I finish recording this video and the time this video will go up, another thing has cropped up. But I just want to point something out, actually, that Red Knight pointed out on Twitter, and it's completely true because I've seen it firsthand. The people that are complaining about the price of the Switch went out and bought a PS4 Pro. They went out and bought a PSVR. And yeah, they're hypocrites. They're absolute hypocrites. And now it has been confirmed that the Switch will not get any media apps. And now I'm seeing people saying, oh, I'm not going to buy it at launch then. I'm not going to flipping buy it. Well, you're a flipping idiot, because I'm sure you've got a flipping another device that can play Netflix, that can play flipping Hulu, and play flipping any of the other media apps that you like to use. I'm sure you're not just going to bin all your devices just because you got a Switch. I'm sure you can still play your Netflix on your PS4 or on your flipping smartphone. And by the way, I use my flipping gaming system to play games, believe it or not. So how come not having Netflix at launch is a deal breaker for some people? You play a gaming system to play games, believe it or not. Or am I flipping wrong? Or am I flipping out of touch? I just don't get it. I'm sorry, but these people are just complaining for the sake of complaining. And these Switch haters are just flipping idiots. You really are. My message to these Switch haters is that you are a hypocrite. Because you flipping accept all this stuff on your favourite console of choice, but when Nintendo does it, when Nintendo does some sort of stuff like what Sony are doing, it's a completely different story. completely different story. So yeah, it's just, that's all I have to say. That's all I have to say. Like I said before, if this had Sony's name on the box, people will be all over it. The fact that you can play console games on the go. But because it's Nintendo, they pick the littlest things to complain about and they blow them up to be like the flipping, you know, to be bigger than what they are, pretty much. So, yeah, it's just, some of the hate is justified, but a lot of it isn't, in my opinion. And I feel like a lot of the media, I feel like a lot of people just want Nintendo to fail, and a lot of people just want, oh yeah, I want to play Super Mario Odyssey on my PS4. Well, no, you wouldn't go out and buy that, would you? Because if you really wanted that game that much, then you would actually go out and pick up a Switch. You would go out and pick up a Nintendo system instead of bitching about everything, instead of bitching about the stuff that really doesn't matter half the time. Bitching about the stuff that actually you can actually get around. You can get around. If you want to play those games so much, then for storage, you would go out and pick up a 256, flipping gigabyte SD card. And with the PS4, if you had 500 gigabyte PS4, then that would have been filled up with flipping day one updates. Because these updates, even if you buy physical, they flipping install like 20 gig updates, and then you got patches there like 5 gig updates. So, and you got DLC as well. That takes up a lot. So if you're bitching about, oh, I have to go out and pick up flipping more storage, then you would have done that with a PS4 anyway if you had a 500 gigabyte PS4. Now, granted, you could go out and pick up an SD, or go out and pick up an external hard drive, 2 terabyte possibly, and that is supported with the Switch in terms of SD cards, but that isn't out yet, and when it does come out, that will be more expensive than the external hard drive route. But apparently Nintendo are looking at the external hard drive route, so yeah, I didn't realise this video would go on for this long, but I've just got a lot of bitching to do in terms of the bitches. Like, I've got a lot of bitching to do in terms of the haters. Like, they're just hating on some of the stuff, which is just completely ridiculous in my opinion. But I'm sure I'm going to get a lot of stick for this video. I don't really care. I really don't care. I'm excited for the Switch. I'm going to pick up a Switch because I'm excited to play the games that are on the system. And I guess, yes, it's going to be expensive, but that is just the price you pay, really. That is just what it's like when it's, when the console does come out at first. I'm sure a couple of years down the line, this won't be an issue. This won't be an issue at all. Now, what Nintendo could have done is what they did with Wii Play. How they could have bundled in 1-2 Switch with a Joy-Con, and that would have been a little bit better. Like, you could have got like a free game. Now, granted, barely anybody would have played 1-2 Switch, but that's what I've done. I bought Wii Play just solely for the Wii remote, but it turned out to be a cracking game. Got addicted to the tank game, and I got addicted to the pool game as well. So yeah, maybe they could have done that with the Joy-Cons. So yeah, the bitching, the hating, yeah, it's just, there's just so much negativity surrounding the Switch. It's like it's the worst console of all time. It's like it's completely negative. It's like there's a completely negative picture, and there really, really isn't. And that's what these gaming media, and that's what these haters don't talk about. They don't talk about the positives. They don't talk about that sort of stuff. They just only focus on the negatives, and I never see that with the PS4. I never see people notice that the PS4 controllers are completely dog crap because they are really poorly made. It's like my PS4 came with a controller, and its left analog stick went within the first couple of weeks, and I didn't realise it at the time. I thought that was the case for all Sony consoles until I actually researched it recently, and I've seen people saying that, oh, I've had to go out and pick up 3 flipping DualShock 4 controllers because, Sony, they got some flipping sweatshop work in Taiwan to make it, and it's poorly flipping made. I never see people talk about that, but if that was Nintendo, my God, that would be blown up to be something massive. My God, that would be blown up to be the worst thing in the world. And my God, that would be a reason not to pick up the system. But when it's Sony, I never see people mention that sort of stuff. I never see people mention flipping, you know, PSVR, how it is a massive rip-off, how it is a massive slap in the face. I never see people mention how PS4 Pro is the most worthless console of all time. How Sony should have waited until the PS5 and how the PS4 really should have been the PS4 Pro. But I never see people mention that. But my God, if that was Nintendo, we would have been hearing about that for the flipping rest of our lives. So yeah, haters, mate. You just hating for the sake of hating. And I don't think you were interested in the Switch to begin with. And I just feel like you're just picking apart the Switch just because, you know, I feel like you spend more time hating on the Switch than you actually play games. And that's just how it is. So, yeah, if you're not interested in the Switch, and you know what you do, you just stay with the systems that you got. It's not rocket science. Don't just flipping dog on everything. You know, you weren't interested in it in the first place, so why do you care? Why do you care? I just don't understand. Seriously, it's just... Yeah, I'm going to have to end this video now because I could rant about this all day, every day, 24/7, but I know I'm going to pick up the Switch and I know I'm going to have a blast playing ARMS with my motion control and beat up the crap out of people that aren't willing to learn, you know, motion control, that people bitching about motion control. I can't wait to beat the crap out of those people online whilst I can, you know, for free. And like I said, the online service for me, that is the weakest point of the system. And yeah, that's it. I'm going to repeat myself, but just wanted to mention that if I haven't already. The fact that the people, you know, bitching about the price were the same people that went out and bought a PS4 Pro. Were the same people that bought the PSVR. So, yeah, it's just complete nonsense. Complete and utter nonsense. But that is it, and I'll see you next time. And the comment section to this video is going to be really interesting. It really is. Really would appreciate if you guys hit that thumbs up button because this video will take me ages to upload. I feel like this video is going to be about 40 minutes long, so it's going to take me ages to upload. So, yeah, hopefully you have enjoyed this video. This probably will be the last time that I will talk about the Switch in general. I'm going to probably focus on Splatoon 2 just because I've got so many ideas for that game. But I'm still going to do Switch news roundups whenever I do find something interesting to talk about. So that is it for this video and I will see you next time. Goodbye.